that's fine.
So we are live, Bryan. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. So I'm going to do a tech check real quick because the tech gods, they don't like me. I'm going to make sure we're screaming across all our platforms. We should be on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So let me just make sure that is happening. And we are. It looks good in the hood. So I just got to do one more share to the group and we are ready to go. So I'm so excited about this conversation in actuality because we both have such diverse backgrounds. But for those who don't know us, my name is Sabrina Walker Hernandez, and I'm the president and CEO of Supporting World Hope. I've been in the nonprofit industry for quite a while, 20 years as a CEO. Prior to that, served in the military, as well as worked for the county where I actually administered the infamous CDBG grant, the Urban County Grant.
You did? I didn't know that.
Wow. I did it for all the nonprofits in Hidalgo County. I loved it. And I also in college, I interned at a nonprofit called Advocacy Resource Center for Housing. So I have an extensive background in that. And now I really love working with boards of directors and coaching CEOs. So that's kind of what I do. And then we have Bryan.
You know what's good is because we're a good match because boards sometimes drive me crazy, but I do the grants and stuff like that. I'm good with the numbers and playing around on that side of things. But anyway, going to the introduction, my name is Bryan Partee. I sat next to Sabrina about 20 years ago at a Boys and Girls Club new executive orientation in Richardson, Texas. That's how we got to meet. We were both hired as CEOs, two different locations. She's in South Texas. I was in East Texas. Did it for 20 years, a lot of growth. And I went to two clubs. I went to one in Sherman, Texas, too. So I went from almost Louisiana to almost into Oklahoma. So, the range of Texas is being gigantic. I got good at writing grants and doing a lot of stuff, primarily because when you're in a small town, unlike being in Dallas or Houston, there's not a marketing company. There's not a grant writing company. And just to give you an idea of how long I've been doing this, we were doing it when I would actually do my web pages because I can do web pages and stuff like that. When I did it, I had to do them with the actual text, HTML. You don't do the pull and play and stuff like that. Yeah, that kind of thing. So, in fact, texting back when we first started, and I was just telling somebody about this because we had an experience where we helped house people from Hurricane Katrina when it hit. Texting was like you paid a dime per text that you send, kind of. So it was very, very different, and you're very limited on. I couldn't go out there and go, hey, I need a nonprofit consultant. Hey, I need a grant writer. So anyway, all that to say, born and raised in California, San Diego. My dad was a Charger. And I got into the nonprofit field because I do believe it's our responsibility to leave the world better now than when we got here. And I think nonprofits do that. So anyway, all that to say, that's where I met Sabrina. We do stuff like this together all the time. And I focus a lot in my area on the grant writing side of things, on the resource development side of things. I started my own company. I left the club because I was missing some of my son's basketball games. He's very tall. And he's a very good basketball player, and I didn't want to miss them anymore. Not that I did, and the board and I started going. They're like, you probably don't need to serve as many kids, and I was like, well, that's the mission of a Boys and Girls Club. Anyway, all that to say is, I've been doing it for a while. I love doing it, and now I started the nonprofit marketplace, nonprofitmarketplace.org, with the intent to help newer CEOs, newer organizations thrive. Because I can feel if I can help you a little bit do something better, then I'm helping your people. I'm still kind of got my hand in the nonprofit world, not directly, but through you. So anyway, that's my short version. Are we done? Did I?
No, that makes sense. And we are so opposite. And that's why we gel so well, because opposites attract. And I'm like, man, I ain't got time to work with the startups. I want to work with that CEO who has that mindset of growth already, and they're ready to invest in that board. And we want a strategic plan, and we want board training. So we gel very well. Bryan is being modest too, because Bryan was also a city council member in the great city of Sherman, Texas.
Marshall,
And Marshall, Texas. Near Sherman or Longview? I don't know.
No, Longview. Marshall and Longview are next to each other.
Got it. Okay.
Marshall and Sherman are like 6 hours apart.
Okay, got it. I knew it was somewhere around there.
Yeah,
6 hours. That's not
Texas. People don't realize how big Texas is. That kind of thing. I'm sure I get people who call me all the time and say, "Hey, I got a layover. I'm in Houston." And I was like, "Yeah, Houston's 5 hours away. I'm not going.
Yeah, it's 5 hours away from me too. So
I don't want to see. I don't want to see you.
You're 8-hour drive away from me. Yeah, Texas is big, y'all. If y'all don't understand that. So what we're going to be doing today, though, is we're going to be talking really about the topic that we wanted to discuss is around boards
let's take a step back. So we got to tell everybody this is a preface of kind of what you're going to see with the summit coming up.
Yeah.
And then secret stuff coming up shortly thereafter. But we'll keep that on the down low right now.
Yeah, we have this summit, as you can see, we marked it November the 6th through the 8th. The doors aren't open yet. They're going to open on October the 16th, which is like 5 days away. Right. And so this is like a precursor to some of the things that we're going to be talking about. But one of the things that always come up, yesterday I did a training on board agendas, and always come up, even when I'm talking about agenda or anything else, is where do you find good board members? Right. You have a small town experience. I call Edinburgh, Texas small. It's over 100,000 people. But still small town.
Yeah.
You laugh.
Okay.
Why?
So, well, no, I mean, because I laugh at 100,000 when you say small, because you're going small town feel. But okay, so when we're in East Texas, you get pocket communities, and this is for real. I'm not trying to be funny. Mm-hmm. We're in Marshall, Texas. Marshall's 25,000 people. If I go east through a bunch of trees, because it's not like when you're in a big city, like I said, it's from San Diego, that San Diego runs into Ensenada, which runs into Pacific Beach, which runs into La Jolla, and it's just one big city, right?
That's how it is where I live.
Yeah, it's not here. You go through, when you go from Marshall, you go 15 miles east through a bunch of pine trees. They have tons of pine trees on 2-lane roads, and you're in Wascom, and Wascom's population is 2,500. And we had a club in Wascom. You go north 15 minutes through a bunch of trees, and you're in Jefferson, population 2,800 or something like that. So you're talking small pocket communities that are connected by roads. And where I'm going with this, and because I don't want to take your thunder and tell me.
No, go ahead. This is why we're here. We're going to be talking about this.
But one of the things that when you're in a town of 2,500, I mean even 25,000, Marshall being the big city, 25,000, you struggle to find board members, because anybody who's worth their weight to be a board member is on every other board. If there's a YMCA, they're on the Y board. If they're on the church board, they're on, some of them run for school board, those kind of things. You get all of those different aspects of trying to find a good board member. And then you also you want to find a good board member who you're not burning out, because, they're going to be tired. Because what's one of the functions of a board member is to help raise money. Well, today I'm raising money for the Education Foundation, and tomorrow I'm raising it for the Boys and Girls Club, and the next day I'm doing it for the food organization. You know what I mean? You stretch these people really, really thin. Yeah. And so
it can be crazy. So I'm going to ask you a question. So my question, here's the thing. For me, community of 100, but we are more like we're the Rio Grande Valley. We're Metroplex. There's no trees that separates the next city from the next one. So I found success in board recruitment. Well, here's the thing. Here's the question. Did you do like volunteer match? Did you do any of those things? Or was it more about getting out and networking? What did you find?
When you're in a town of 25,000, again, with Marshall being the metropolis at 25,000 of the people of all the places we serve, no, you don't. Nobody uses any of the programs and stuff like that. It's knowing people. That's the first thing. Yep. The second thing is you want diversity, right? You want to try to do as much as you can and be as diverse. And your board should kind of try to match the population of who you serve. And in Marshall, when we did the Boys and Girls Club, Marshall has an interesting population because it's like at the time I was there, about 46 to 48% was Black. And usually in most communities, it's 3 to 5% are Black, more Latinos. If you're in California, maybe more Asians, that kind of thing. When you break down those numbers, when I first got there, we had no Black people on our board, none.
Right.
But here's the thing: we were making an intentional push to try to find Black people. So we were like, let's talk to who are some of the more prominent Black people in our community. We had a guy, his name Mr. Huey, and Mr. Huey was running for district attorney or county judge, one of the two. And he was a good guy, real great guy actually. He showed up to every meeting or most meetings. He was a terrible fundraiser, but he had a lot of money himself, so he just gave money to compensate. He when he was campaigning, he pushed really, really hard to make sure that everybody knew he was on the board of the Boys and Girls Club because we were high visibility and stuff like that. And the day after he got elected, I'm going to be really busy. See ya.
Yep. So that happened to us all the time as well.
Well, here's the important thing, and I know I sometimes get some grief by the way I say this, but I don't mean it in a bad way. We had a white male board member. His name is Casey. Casey showed up to every meeting. He gave real meaningful input. He made a personal donation of a good amount, of sacrificial amount. He solicited people. He showed up on the days of the golf tournament and all those things. He understood our mission.
Right.
I would take a board of all white males if they were like Casey, and it's not based on the skin color. It's not based on the gender. It's based on he believed our mission. He knew our mission.
He was passionate about it.
He made us great. Now, that's not to say there weren't, in our case in Marshall, that's not to say, we didn't have any Black people in Marshall. We didn't have any Latino. We didn't have any women who cared. No, there are plenty who cared. But now going back to your first question, we learned quickly after about 2 or 3 years that you really got to cultivate people. Like we would talk to people who are potential targets and say, hey, what do you know about the Boys and Girls Club? Your name came up. We're not pushing you or anything like that. It was no pressure. But we would talk to them and say, here's what we do. Here are the expectations of everything. We would let them know, down the line what's expected. Then maybe a year later, even sometimes maybe 2 years later, formal request. I mean, I had one lady named Lindsay. Lindsay was terrific. She turned out to be just a terrific board member. We pursued her for about 2.5 years before she said, yeah, I'll try it. I think I'm ready. I'm at a time where I'm not too busy.
Stop right there. Do you hear him? He cultivated and pursued for 2.5 years. That's why you got to get out and you have to network, because you're not just going to meet someone and they say yes right away. They are getting to know you. You are getting to know them. It is not an overnight magic success. Like this is what's going to happen.
We always say, Sabrina, we're interviewing you as much as you're interviewing us. And I will tell you this, I do appreciate these people who take that long because they're like, look, I don't want to suck. I don't want to do a bad job for you. So you got to give them that latitude. And to me, that's an important thing. And it also shows me that they're taking this responsibility seriously.
Exactly.
So to me, would I have liked to have had Lindsay 2.5 years earlier? Sure. Because she could have
but she might not have come through the way she came through afterwards. People, you got to respect when people say not right now. Exactly. Because they're doing their due diligence and they're doing their homework. And I know someone, like I said, for myself personally, I would never serve on 2 fundraising boards at one time because I wanted to give 100% to a board. Now I found myself in a position, taking and wrapping this conversation back to where you started, in a position saying yes to a second board, fundraising board, because diversity. And it wasn't diversity for the sake of diversity. And I very much appreciate how the organization came to me. They said, you are an influencer in the community. This is our mission. It's the museum. Here's where we want to go. Like, there is a history of Black people that our community does not know about that impacted our community. Have you ever heard of the Southern Underground Railroad? Have you ever heard of X, Y, and Z? We need someone on our board that can help us tell that story, and someone of influence.
Right.
And that was the interview. And that's what they said. That's why they wanted me on the board. And then, here is, the fundraising. Here's what is required. Here's this. But I so appreciated that conversation. And I will say, I am the first Black person who has served on that board. I will not be the last. Right. But the CEO was very clear of the impact that I could make.
But that's what I'm saying. Why did they say they wanted to come after you? Was because of your expertise in areas they didn't have expertise. They didn't say they wanted female. They didn't say they wanted Black. They didn't say they wanted, 4'1". They said that they wanted
4'11".
They didn't have height limits. Okay, for the record, everybody, we were in Denver one time for a Southwest Leadership Conference, and my son at 7 years old was taller than Sabrina.
Yes,
so that could be a that's our nice little gauge of height kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a good gauge. I it's very funny because when I'm on, the social platforms and I meet people in real life, they go, I didn't know you were that short. Yeah. Hey, but I'm 4'11" and 1/4 of an inch. So give me my height.
Hold on, and let me bring, because he's right here. This is
Noah. Hi, Noah.
This is my 6'4" kid getting ready to go to a. He's going. Where are you going? Football tonight? Going out to football.
Not for a couple of hours.
Not for a couple hours. So anyway.
So after I come back from dinner,
good to see you, Noah. So as y'all can see our energy, right? And what we do. So we're going to be popping on you're going to be seeing us a while. But
we have four more of these.
Deal. We got like 4 or 5 more of these.
Yeah.
We want you at our summit. It's going to be great. And we have a surprise. We're going to be kicking off a community. But as a good board member, I have to exit off this call because I was supposed to be on a board interview 7 minutes ago for a potential new board member.
And side note, I will take responsibility for that because I wrote down our time wrong, even though she sent it to me. I wrote it down on a sheet of paper. I'm like, I got another 15 minutes. So I was working on something else.
No, you don't. He was working on a grant for one of his clients. So if you need a good grant writer, he's your guy.
I'm there for you.
We'll see you the next time around, and we hope that you join the wait list. The website is scrolling across here. So thank you.
Great information. Great information. You'll get a lot. So thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend. Happy Shirt Friday.
Well, here's my brightness. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
See ya. Are we good? Are we clear? Clear.